Well, hey, we're back. Another YouTube Live.
I know.
Hey, we were talking about a week or so ago. We're like, hey, how do we extend kind of what we're doing in our weekly episodes and kind of talk to y'all, right?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to do this last week, recap the Alaska cruise. We had some technical difficulties. We tried to do too much with it. So this time we've dumbed it down. We're not on TikTok, so apologies to anyone that was previously watching on TikTok. But figured we would try this again and just want to talk to people about cruising. This is our favorite topic in the world. We've got a lot of big cruises coming up. We got something fun to talk about too. And we've got a special guest that will be joining us that you guys are all familiar with. But looking forward to talking. There's a lot of cruise news going on. But most important question is, how many days until your next cruise? Let us know in the chat. We want to hear what ship you're going on, when you're sailing, and we'll kind of hit some of these other topics. But if you do have anything else outside of these topics are on Celebration Key, Carnival loyalty program. We've been talking a lot about Alaska. So if you want to talk about Alaska, we can talk about Alaska too. Any other topics, we'll go through those. But yeah, we're excited. We have there's a lot of cruise news, and we haven't, honestly, we tried to give it some justice in our last week's episode, but ultimately we want to hear from you guys. What do you think about what's going on in the cruising world right now? Whether it's the Carnival loyalty program, Celebration Key launching today, the Royal Beach Club opening up this year, which, Michael, we got to figure out
on that.
When are we going? We have free cruises. We have things we got to book. So looking forward to talking about that. But yeah, let us know where you're tuning in from. When's your next cruise? And let's dive into it. So we've got a very special guest with us, as you guys know, very familiar with the Cruising Bear. This guy's out of Texas and loves cruising. And Jeremy, welcome on.
Hey, man. Wonderful to be here as always. I love talking about cruising. I can do it all day, every day, and I do it all day, every day.
So, Jeremy, the most controversial thing right now in the cruising world that's stirring up all of the message boards, everyone's talking about this. And there's a couple. We're going to talk about a lot of them today, but the biggest one that's been taken over right now is the Carnival loyalty program. So if you guys are listening, you listen to this week's episode, let us know, what do you think about the Carnival loyalty program? But first, Jeremy, I want to hear kind of your thoughts, right? I think the biggest kind of feedback that Carnival's gotten is, you cruise a couple times a year. Max, you cruise one time a year. Most people are not cruising 5, 6, 7 times a year, right? Like us. How do you feel about having to redo your status every 2 years, right? I know there's a grace period. People will be able to have their status for the next 5 years, but it's not like hotels, right? Or airlines where you're forced to fly, you're forced to stay in a hotel. It really is. You're choosing to go on a cruise over some of these other things. So, I mean, how do you feel about some of these big changes? How do you think it's going to affect Carnival? Let's dive into it a little bit.
I mean, we already know it's already, affected them negatively, right? They didn't do a good job, I believe, of, maybe researching a little bit. Like we mentioned it the very first time when it first dropped, we talked about, did they do a focus group? Did they do anything to talk to their diamond people and people who are been loyal to them for 30 years, and now they have to re-earn their diamond status? I mean, I thought it was a little short-sighted. Most everybody else was kind of adds to their loyalty program, and their reasoning makes sense why they have to do it. But you have to, you have to be a little smarter about it. But I think a little bit's been blown out of proportion as well. I mean, the people who just cruise and don't spend any more money on the cruise, they're going to get hurt by this, obviously. But like me, I mean,
agreed.
I'm gonna gamble. I do it. You know, you earn a couple thousand points gambling. I happen to have that. You know that Carnival credit card. I'm probably going to be okay. You know, I'm going in. It's going to be going in as platinum. I'm probably going to be okay and staying around there as long as I'm cruising with them once or twice a year, and I keep getting my casino deals. I'm sure I will, but it's not going to be great for everybody, and they're going to lose some customers.
I agree. I think the biggest thing that people are thinking is like, it feels like it's a greedy action, right? Like rather than just making the decision on I'm going to give someone a point for choosing Carnival, you're now making it about the money. And I get it, right? Like they are a for-profit business. They're publicly traded. Michael is the owner and of Carnival Corporation. He has some stock. So I mean, all these people, it's at the end of the day, it's about making a profit. So they're trying to tie loyalty and rewards to that. And to be honest, Michael, I like how you explained it on last week's episode. There really are some cool things on these rewards, right? Like when you look at being able to spend money in the casino, and you get to choose what you get. Like sometimes when you're in the casino, you spend a few $1,000s, right? And they send you that crappy bottle of wine and you're like, dude, I would have rather just taken like a cocktail, one or two cocktails. Like maybe it's not equal, but sometimes they give you stuff you don't like, or you're not a wine drinker. So being able to choose some of those things are it's quite cool for some people, right? The credit card thing kind of rubs people the wrong way because again, it's about spending money on this card. And we always say like, there's a lot of really good travel credit cards out there. Ultimately, those are like the Amex, the Chase Sapphire, like some of those things. We normally don't recommend getting like the cruise line credit cards. But no, I mean, I think it's interesting. I don't love the having to do every 2 years, but there are some good things about the program, like we said, with being able to choose your own adventure, right? Like, do I want to have this as my extra drink? Do I want to, use these points as a spa add-on while I'm on my cruise? Like, no one else has that right now, and I think it's kind of cool.
It's
we have
it's a little hard to it's a little hard to tell people, you're diamond. I mean, and you've been loyal to us forever. And but if you don't spend a lot of money with us, we're gonna stop being loyal to you. You want them to be loyal to you, but you don't show a lot of loyalty back to them. It's kind of a rough pill to swallow for some people. I mean, I think there was a bit overreaction by some people, obviously, as always. But man, I still like you said, it's greedy, man. It's greedy. That's all it is. They're trying to capitalize on a super busy cruise industry, but I don't know. It seems a little wild, a little too far out there for me.
Let us know if you're watching what you think of the new Carnival loyalty program. Obviously, like you said, Jeremy, there's been a lot of negativity around this, but there is some upsides. And to be honest, they still have some time to shift around the loyalty program a little bit. Like maybe this is their soft launch. Maybe they're planning to make some updates to the loyalty program before it hits next year, and I think that could be something too, that we see changes to this. So let us know in the comments what you think. When's your next cruise? Let's talk about it. We had one comment come in from Wakeview Travel. Keith was just on the podcast with us. So thank you, Keith, first of all, for taking some time to not only record our recap of your Alaska cruise that'll be hitting Wednesday on Spotify and YouTube here as well. Wakeview Travel, he said, here in Georgia, our next cruise is on the Margaritaville Islander in 85 days. Can't come soon enough. Man, we got some cruise news coming up for Margaritaville as well. But, that's awesome. Michael, you've had family that's gone on the Islander. Jeremy, you haven't been on the Islander yet, right?
Not yet. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, that is awesome. Thanks again, Keith, for tuning in. All right, so Carnival actually had another big. I mean, today's a big day. Yeah, today's a big day for Carnival, right? So today's Celebration Key is opening. Michael, talk to us about how big. Now that you've been to Ocean Cay, you've been to Coco Cay, you've been to a lot of private islands. How excited are you, and what do you feel like is the most anticipated part about Celebration Key in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to kind of hear the feedback that comes out of it. The Carnival Vista is stopping there today. It's a big deal for Carnival. I mean, they have Christine Duffy, the president of the company, on the sailing, John Heald, the brand ambassador there on the sailing, and I know they've been hyping it up all week. And I think when you look at it, you got to see it as it's a private destination, right? It's not an island out in the middle of the ocean. So I think a lot of the pushback so far when it comes to the drink packages not working and the way they're doing dining and all that, they're not. It's the island that I guess is kind of supplying the island. So that's kind of one mindset to go in with it. I know I've seen menus for all like the quick service restaurants where you'll be able to have your free meals at, and they have plenty of like a wide variety of different food options, from your typical burgers, chicken sandwiches, to pizza, to subs, to Mexican sushi. So obviously, or Mediterranean, so plenty of free food options.
But how does it work? So you can only get, what is it, one or two?
One swipe on your card.
Okay.
And then there also are 25% off, I think, some of the sit-down restaurants. There's like a seafood, I think, maybe a Mexican, and a barbecue sit-down
So when you look at it face value, their food is much better options and like more variety of what you get at Coco Cay and Ocean Cay. The downside is that you only get one.
Limited, yeah.
You're limited. That's pretty much it. So you can obviously get more. You just would pay for it. Versus all-inclusive. Like, you can eat as much chicken sandwiches and Mexican food at Coco Cay that you want, or like the stuff at the snack shacks or even the buffet hot dogs, burgers.
Yep.
The difference is you don't get sushi and some of these other things that Carnival's going to have at their private island.
And it'll be interesting. I mean, we should probably know today here. I mean, I know they were doing their big grand opening celebration like on Facebook and YouTube at 10 a.m. this morning, but they haven't really said what the cost is for like if you want to go have another meal yet. So is it like $5? Like if you decide to go to Chibang or the Italian again on an XL class ship, is it going to be a little more than that? We really don't know. Like Jeremy was saying earlier, I mean, some of it, I know they've already, they took a lot of flack for renting pool noodles, Frank. This was something.
$15?
No, it was 20. I think it
$20
was 20
for a pool noodle, y'all. That's crazy.
I think it's dropped down to 10, but I swear people were saying like they couldn't even find that anymore. So I don't know if they officially nixed that and you can just get them for free now.
To me, it should just be first come, first serve, right? Like as soon as you get there, you grab a pool noodle and you go on with your day. Like those things cost like $1. They're at the dollar store, you know?
Yeah,
like,
no one's trying to actually steal a pool noodle to bring it back on the ship. I really hope not.
Yeah, and I'm sure they could just
you can't hide those things.
Right?
You can't hide those things. You can't put it down in front of your shirt and like sneak it on the boat or put it in your backpack. And these things are kind of hard to hide, you know. And they can afford to buy, 2 million pool noodles and be just fine, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so I mean, with Celebration Key, obviously the pool is massive. You're gonna have one half of it that's all kind of family oriented. The west side of the island's all kind of adults only. You're gonna have your beach club. I know they're gonna have some different parades and celebrations and stuff going around on the island. So yeah, I mean, I'm super excited. Like I said, for info to kind of continue to come out, because like we said, they've been really tight-lipped with a lot of it. Like even they finally just had like people there on the island a couple weeks ago for actual like to get media promotion and all that. And up until then, I mean, they've posted very little photos and videos on their social media.
They're not selling it like as much as I thought they would. They've done some stuff, but they don't do like as much of that promotion through influencers. Like they need to get Shaq out there with some chicken and be like, "Come on, guys," you know what I mean? Like, why not?
Well, and that's been a big question too. People have mentioned like, you have chicken sandwiches on the island, you have burgers. Why is it not Shaq branded? Why is it not Guys branded? All that. Good question. I don't know. I mean, because like I said, they're continuing to add. I mean, Guys Burgers, I think, is on every ship at this point. But maybe it is just a licensing thing or something. With the island.
Michael, we got to talk. The food sounds good, but we got to talk about the Celebration Key drink package situation. So this is the most disappointing thing for me. Have they said more about why? Is it because that they're playing the card that it's because it's not a private island? Is that why they're not allowing you to use your drink package?
I mean, I think it's just how Carnival's doing it. You look at all their other islands, and none of them work anywhere. So I don't know what their reasoning is. I mean, they have said if you can pay with your credit card on the island, and if you pay with your credit card or debit card outside of your Sea Pass, it's not counting to your 15 drink limit. So as far as out of that, I don't know exactly why they won't. You have to have the technology, I would think, to be able to get.
It's got to be something because NCL, Harvest Cay, and Belize, your drink package does not work on the island, but I do believe it works on Great Stirrup Cay. So I don't know if it's whatever local government thing. It's like in Galveston, right? You can't. The drink package doesn't really work your first day while you're in Galveston. I think New Orleans is kind of the same way. You pay taxes. It has everything to do with the local government and I guess what's yours, what's not yours. I don't know. I'm sure it's all tied into that. But if you think about that, why wouldn't they just drop the extra money to find a private island and do that and let that happen? So it's kind of twofold, or maybe their hands may be tied with that. But why not, go all in on? I mean, maybe they rushed it, right? They were like, oh, they're opening all this, Royal Caribbean's doing all this stuff with the private islands. We got to find and do something right away and something easy and fast. And maybe that's the decision they made.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think it just is tough when you see them raising the price of their drink package to like $82 a day. And it's not even dependent on how short or long your sailing is. And then if you go there, you're paying that much and you're not even able to use it except for at night. Like they want you to go on the island and enjoy their island, but I can't use my drink package. So that's the other downside. I feel like people are being critical of Carnival for that right now. We have a couple of chats. Yep. Thank you, Keith, for writing it. And yeah, it was a really great time having you on the podcast. You also said you're gold on Carnival right now and your perks are not that exciting anyways. The new loyalty program will not affect me much. I understand why folks who have higher status may have some issues. At the end of the day, it's really those higher status people that are like, I've chosen Carnival for 30 years, whatever it is, and now I'm like having to do extra work to keep that. What was it? $33,000 if you just cruise and you don't spend anything else every 2 years in order to get that money. Or to get that status again in Diamond. Okay. I think this was good. Michael, I think we've touched this topic enough. I'm excited to see, again, we'll probably have to have someone come on and talk about Celebration Key as it opens today and just kind of let us know what they thought. There's been some, like you said, some influencers have gone. But yeah, let's talk now about the Royal Caribbean Royal Beach Club. So Jeremy, have you been following along with this at all, or are you kind of getting up to speed on the conversation?
No, I've kind of I paid attention to it, and I saw some really cool things, and the pricing is, I guess some people thought it was going to be more expensive, but I thought the price was pretty high for just a day pass to a place, drinks involved. When you think about like Sancho's in Paradise and Cozumel, who kind of it's really really affordable, and then you look at the prices for that, but it's also not really apples to apples for what you get for your pricing. But yeah, I've been paying attention to it.
So here's the thing about Royal Beach Club, and I think we got some comments on this in this week's episode, and I want to have a really detailed conversation about this pricing because I think people are coming at Royal Caribbean, and of course I'm going to defend them, right? Like that's my brand, but
Shocking.
I think it's high. I'm first off going to say I think it's high, but how high is really the question. So let's talk about what you get. Let's give people the background on what Coco or Royal Beach Club really is about, right? So at the end of the day, Royal Caribbean bought this strip of land. It's right by the cruise port. When you pull in, you're not going to miss it, whether you're coming in on a Norwegian ship, on a Carnival ship. Like it's literally right there. They bought this piece of land. They tore down the houses that were there, and they're putting, I think, 3 or 4 swim-up bar with big pools. They've got like that really cool, kind of like what this is in the background, where they've got like a party wing. So they'll have a DJ, like a pool will be more loud, and then you'll have other pools that are kind of like the more chill pools. So that looks really cool. And then they'll have all food, all drinks, all Wi-Fi will be included. And I think there's a couple beaches, right? I think there's like 2 or 3 beaches or whatever that you can enjoy as well. The thing is, it's really an excursion. So hey, we got Jeremy. We have an excursion that comes from the ship over to this island. Now, again, it's not big, right, Jeremy? So you think about how many Royal ships are in Nassau every day. You probably have like 3 Royal ships in port. So Royal's looking at this as it's an excursion. And when you start to look at pricing for other excursions in Nassau, you look at Atlantis, you look at Baja Mar, those things are expensive. Margaritaville, what is it, 125? I think it's 150 for the day. So to me, that's the starting point is like, what are the other options in Nassau? And so they looked at it. They're like, listen, if we put this thing at $60, $70, $80, $100, it's going to be sold out in minutes. Like it's because the other options are just, they're so much more expensive, right? Atlantis is like $200 a day. But on top of that, what you get, right? You get the drinks, you get the Wi-Fi, you get all of that stuff. So I think it's important to mention that what you get with the day pass, right? And I think overall it is a little bit high. It's also this is the first thing like this. And so we'll probably see it come down a little bit in price. I imagine it will probably land. What did it say? Starting at 169 is what they said
with the alcohol.
Yeah, so
with
169 seems pretty good. I think it's high right now because it just launched, and they'll kind of back into that 175, 180 price. Now, Jeremy, the cool thing that they're adding. So if you're going on a 3 or 4 night cruise, they're adding this. Say this costs $250 today. They're letting you add the drink package for your other days on the ship. So day 1 and day 3, they're letting you add the drink package, and it comes out to be around another $150. So when you do the math on that, it's not horrible that you get this plus the drink package, and then they add in some other stuff. Ultimately, I do think it's high in price, but they're looking at, again, what are the other options besides staying on the ship, and that's what they're targeting.
Did I hear they also did a package where you can combo that with something like Coca-Cola as well? Like something where you combine two of them?
Yeah, they're doing a package that includes this plus the hideaway at Coco-K, which is already around $50 to $80, plus the drink package. So like, it's a cool thing, right? That they're including that. Again, Michael and I are going to try to get to this place in December because it looks insane. We're still trying to figure out the dates on that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we definitely want to get there. It looks like the marketing that they've done. Again, they've really marketed the heck out of this thing like they always do. And now it's just a question of, is it overhyped, or is it really going to be like an awesome day in Nassau where you're like, I want to book a Nassau cruise because I want to go to this place.
Hey. I think Nassau is a great place for it because, I mean, there's not a lot of beach break. You look at Cozumel, there's 15 places you could go drink, sit on the beach, and do some stuff. Where Nassau there's very, very little of that. And it's all like you said. While the pricing is high when you compare it to some stuff in Cozumel, it's not high compared to what's over in Nassau. And there's way less options in Nassau. Now, for a family of 4 to go there, it's going to be expensive. You're paying for that. You and your wife want drinks, and the kids want to go. You're looking at $600, and that's an expensive excursion. But when you have a couple adults going, everybody's paying for themselves. It's going to be a fun day there. It's a short cruise. 3-4 day goes to Nassau, Coco-Cay. It's not that bad.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, eventually when they open up the one in Cozumel too, maybe we'll see that pricing kind of be lower and reflect, kind of like you said, Sancho.
Yeah, I think it will. Places. I mean, at the end of the day, you're competing, right? Like, they know Sancho's price. They know the Paradise Island Beach Club price. They can't put something like this in Cozumel and charge $250. Like, 0 people are going to go. Maybe the royal loyalists like me will go. But, like, most people that have kids are just going to go to Mr. Sancho's, right? It's the same experience. So they know that they're going to have to come in around. I think I could see this in Cozumel being about $100, right? You're going to pay a little bit more because it's royal. You're not going to pay the $60, but you're going to know it's Royal's product. You're going to feel safe and all that. So they're going to probably be in that ballpark. They can't be 4 times the price of Mr. Sancho's with that right next door. It just doesn't. That doesn't work.
And they're going to include transportation, which obviously Sancho's and Paradise is not included. But it's like $20 for a cab there and $20 back, so that's extra $40 on top of it. So they'll make it more expensive, but they'll also provide that. They'll also provide you're not going to be late getting back to the ship, the worry-free stuff. So it'll be more, and it'll probably be way more involved than Paradise and Sancho's is. Safer atmosphere and all that stuff. So it'll be, I guess those are like $70 a day per person in that area. So I could see probably 120, 130 for all inclusive in Cozumel.
Yeah.
All right. Well, taking a look over at the chat quickly, we have one of our friends, Jeremy. Hello, boys. Hello, Jeremy. He also said he didn't realize the size of the Royal Beach Club. Yeah, the Royal Beach Club's a pretty good size overall.
It's bigger than it looks, but it's still like not as big as a private island. Like if you look at Coco-Cay, Ocean Cay is massive, so this would probably be like a fourth of that size or maybe a third of that size. It's longer. Think of like a peninsula that sticks out into the ocean. So it's not like a circular with multiple beaches all around. It's really like a long strip where you have like different restaurants on board, not on board, on the island. And then you've got different pools and beaches and stuff like that along. So really, really cool. I'm excited. Again, this opens, I think, December 28th, 29th timeframe. So right at the end of the year. It's funny, Jeremy. They said that this is going to open in December. And I didn't know. I had no idea what day. I thought like mid-December, but they're barely scraping by. They're like right at the end of December.
Just barely at the end before the door shuts. Get in there, 3 days before, little New Year's cruise.
Might as well just say 2026 at this point.
There you go. Hey, no, 2025. We said 25. It's 25.
Yeah, they wanted to stick to their word. Here's the thing: they're building this in Bahamas with Bahamas resources, with Bahamas people. It's like island time, man. Nothing happens quick in island time. It's really cool though when you're in the port at Nassau, getting to watch them construct this, and they're tearing things down and building structures. You got to think the water, the electricity, like the gas, like stuff like that. Like they're bringing all of that to the island. They're bringing jobs to the island. It's good for the Bahamas, and it's good for Royal Caribbean, and it's good for guests that, like you said, don't love the options in Nassau. This gives them something else. Just like if you think about Mexico and Costa Maya, like Costa Maya is great, but you've been there so many times and there's not that much to do. So putting a beautiful water park, putting just all that stuff, like even the mile-long lazy river, like, dude, that's so cool, and that's all included. So I'm excited. That, dude, 2027 feels so far away, but man, we'll be
years fly these days.
It'll be there before we know.
Yeah.
It.
Well, my question is this: you heard some pushback on too many private islands. If you go on a cruise and almost all your stops are only private islands, you don't experience any of the actual stuff. And I get for the people who go to Nassau, Nassau touches almost every. How many cruise percentage that I go out of Miami and Fort Lauderdale touch Nassau? I mean, like at least half, if not 70% of them, stop in Nassau, and I think you see it there. But if you go on a cruise and you go to these spots and you only ever go to their private beach clubs and their private islands, I mean, you kind of lose some of the things that you're doing. You have to maybe hit a Southern Caribbean place so you can actually do something in those places,
Yeah. No, it's a good point too. I mean, there's a healthy balance, I think, between doing so many private islands versus, trying to hit something that has culture. I think you got to do a little bit of both. Scotty doesn't. We have this debate where we disagree. She's all about hitting the ports. I love hitting some of these islands, but I think you can't hit only private islands. Like that's not a great vacation either.
Now, going back to the lazy river, Keith said he's a sucker for a lazy river. Yeah, Keith, this one they're adding is massive. What, this is about an hour long to get around it?
Yeah, it's over an hour to do the full lazy river at Mexico. And, like, again, we're not talking about Royal Beach Club here. We're talking about 2027. Yeah. This will be in Costa Maya, Mexico. It's going to be a mile long. And the coolest part is you'll have a tube that you can tie off at the bars. And I'm like,
you're going to need to.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to need to tie off. So they'll have bars along the. Yeah, exactly. So you'll have bars along the lazy river that you can tie off your tube at, grab a drink. Again, your drink package will work. Thank you, Royal. And then you'll just go along along the lazy river. So I know this is the part that's like, as an adult, like I think they were trying to tailor this for kids. Bro, like as an adult, I'm going to be chilling in that lazy river, man. It's awesome.
I'll say it again. It's a brilliant move by Royal to take over that port, and then they're doing their private, their beach club in Cozumel. So the people for us in Galveston, you do the same 3 stops every time. It goes to Maya, Roatan, Cozumel, and 95% of the cruises do those 3 things. It's nice to have that. I mean, my prediction again is that like 27, 28 we'll have an Icon class ship here. They said that the new terminal can house that. I mean, you start putting the Icon out of here, you start hitting those places that are Royal exclusive, man, it's a giant win for Royal Caribbean and out of Galveston. I know Carnival, they're turning Roatan to Isle of Roatan, and that's going to be their fight back a little bit because they already have Mahogany Bay, but it's a nice stop, but they're going to make it more like I don't want to say like more like Coco Cay, maybe more like Celebration Key, but kind of toned down a little bit. But yeah, it's a big, awesome move by Royal to give you to make the cruise a little bit better, a little more fun for people who have to do the same loop over and over and over again.
Jeremy, you've not been to Coco Cay yet, have you?
No.
Dude, we got to get you out there. Come on, man. We got to get you out there. You're like a cruising bear. You haven't done it.
I know.
Maybe to the New Mexico one before he ever gets to Coco Cay.
Exactly. It's probably going to happen. Well, I told you when I do Icon, it's going to be with you guys, so you guys can show me around and fill me in and let me know what I'm doing.
Before we move to the next topic, Jeremy, big announcement. We're finally meeting in person. If you guys didn't know, we've actually never met this guy. Just a random guy that liked our podcast, that also likes traveling and coming and talking about cruises. So we don't know him. We don't know this guy, but we're going to meet him this fall. We're still trying to figure out a way to get you on that. Actually, I think it's like sold out, or it's pretty close to sold out.
It's near, very, very near it. Yeah. Yeah,
But Jeremy and I will be on that one. It is
on the XL, right? The inaugural sailing. Is it still called the inaugural sailing now? Now that they've added like 7 sailings before, 7 preview sailings.
I hate when they do this. Yeah, they added a preview. We're on like the official 5-night. If you guys want to come, this is your invite to join us to cruise with us. Really, Carnival, or not Carnival, Celebrity Excel. We're going out the week before Thanksgiving. It's November 18th through the 23rd, and I just got off a cruise with Michael right before the 4th of July, and I'm telling you, cruising before a holiday week like Thanksgiving is awesome because you come back. I think we'll have like 2 days of work maybe before Thanksgiving, but dude, those 2 days, like no one's going to be working, and it's going to be amazing.
You have 2 days of work before Thanksgiving. I get off the Excel, walk down the street, and get on the Sun Princess in the sanctuary. So you guys can go back to work for those 2 days. I'm just gonna get out of the cruise.
Dude, I don't know if I can convince my wife to do 2 back-to-back. But I'm just telling you guys, if you want to join, come on the Excel with us. We still have a couple group rates, I think, discount. I think it was like $14.75 per person for 5
Drinks,
nights.
Wi-Fi.
And that's drinks and Wi-Fi. Yeah, drinks, Wi-Fi included. So let us know in the chat, or you can just shoot us a DM or the Cruising Bear DM if you want to join. So we have one more topic. I'm sad to move off this one because this is the thing I'm most excited. Dude, Star of the Seas too. Before we switch, Star of the Seas coming out really soon. Royal just took control of the ship. It's going to be just like Icon. Jeremy, I could see this being the one that you guys get in Galveston one day as well. So I'll be on that cruise in about a month actually. So August 20th. So yeah, Michael.
All right, our next topic here, we have Margaritaville at Sea just announced their next ship coming to the fleet, the Margaritaville at Sea Beachcomber. It's going to be their largest ship yet. It's a Costa ship they're taking over. I don't know too much about the ship. I know they've announced there's going to be like 15 new experiences and venues and all that on the ship. Kind of taking what they pretty much expand. Each ship so far in the fleet's kind of been a expansion and growth from the past ship. So like we said, new experiences coming to this ship. But the biggest question lately is, where's it going to be sailing out of? Jeremy, what have you been hearing about this?
Nothing. I've heard nothing. I mean, you gotta wonder. They're not out of Miami. They're not out of Fort Lauderdale. What are they in Palm Beach and Tampa Bay, right? And you gotta wonder if they're gonna just slide it in and offset those, or if they go out a place like Galveston. I'm not sure if there's room for them in Galveston with with Disney going to be going year round. But some people thought that that maybe it was going to be that when Galveston was going to announce who were the next year round, and some people thought it was going to be Margaritaville. I think it could still happen. I think there's still probably enough space there for them to do it. But I was probably going to just switch off in like Palm Beach and just kind of have one come in and one go out the next day, stuff like that. What do you think?
For some reason, I don't know if I'm making this up, but I don't know if I saw maybe Mobile being thrown around as an option for either this ship or them throwing one of the other ones over there next.
Because they're going for all these smaller ports, right? Like they're not going for these massive. The fact that they haven't done a Fort Lauderdale, they haven't done a Port Canaveral in Miami yet. Like making it feel like it's Galveston, I feel like that would just be like a massive jump for them. They're going for these almost smaller markets, right? And maybe it really is like the market where it's like, like a Mobile, Alabama, something like that, to basically say, hey, we're putting our ships. We know we really can't compete and with these bigger markets that have been, these bigger cruise lines that have been around for a while, but we'll throw ourselves in a smaller market where like they don't have a ton of options for cruises. They could drive 15, 20 minutes, but there's a big population right there. Yeah, maybe like a New Orleans situation. Something like that.
But speaking of New Orleans too, we haven't really talked about it yet. Carnival's also announced, I forget what ship, the Carnival Dream, I think.
The Dream's moving from Galveston to New Orleans.
Yep. So they're kind of expanding. I mean, I think for a while they've had 2 ships there, but now with the Dream being larger than the second ship that either has been there or used to be there, they're kind of ramping up kind of the capacity that they can also sail with out of New Orleans. So, like you said, another cruise port I've never sailed out of.
Yeah. We've had a couple people come on the podcast now and talk about cruising, and we've booked a couple cruises out of New Orleans and Mobile. So it's a cool different port, and it's like for us, feel like it's just the same to go to Florida because it's kind of like you'd have to fly anyways. It's pretty far to get there from Charlotte. I guess for you too, Jeremy, like Mobile, New Orleans.
I went to New Orleans one time, and we drove. It's a long drive to New Orleans. It's not like a 3-4 hour drive. It's like an 8-9 hour drive for us. So we did drive to New Orleans one time and went out of there. Real quick on the Margaritaville. I heard that they want to have like 10 ships by like 2032 or something like that, or like vastly increase their fleet
That's crazy.
by the early 2030s, and they're going to keep buying ships. I mean, Coastal's just giving them away apparently, but they're going to have to expand to Galveston, Mobile, New Orleans, Port Canaveral, Jacksonville. They're going to have to expand to more of those if they're going to start doing that. So sooner rather than later, maybe, I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes out of.
Jacksonville is an interesting one. That's one that like it's actually the closest cruise port, maybe one of the closest cruise ports to us before Charleston kind of became no longer a cruise port. And there was just like a smaller, what was it, the Sunrise or
Sunshine in Charleston, yeah.
Well, no, but the one out of Jacksonville. What was
Sunrise is a ship, so that may have been there.
Yeah, maybe they had, it was a small port, but that one was definitely, for us in Charlotte, one of the closer cruise ports to get to. So, yeah, I mean, more to come on the Beachcomber and the differences between the Islander, the Beachcomber, what they decide to put on it. This is one of those cruise lines where we've heard mixed things, right? We've had Jason come on the podcast, talk about how much he really likes Margaritaville. We've also had people come on and they're like, dude, if you want to listen to Jimmy Buffett for 7 days straight, like 4 days straight, whatever, like it's tough. But it kind of just depends on your cruise vibe, right?
And it will be interesting. We're going to have another Margaritaville at Sea episode coming up here probably within the next month or so. And it's a friend of ours who's actually more our age. So like we said, we've had Jason who's a little older. My parents have gone on it. But kind of getting the thoughts of someone our age who's a little younger sailing Margaritaville.
Yeah.
Well, they said that the Paradise was one of the worst cruise ships in America like 3 years ago. Everybody hated it. Everybody talked about how dirty it was and nasty. And they turned their image around with this new ship and revitalizing that. They turned the image around like almost a full 180 already. People are excited to go on the Islander. All the influencers who like Jay the Nomad and then went on Islander. They liked it. It's for the money for what you get, what you do. They just released a casino program, so they've really made huge strides in like 3 years. They went from being kind of a joke afterthought. Barely anybody wants to do it. To people are wanting to go on them. They've got a new ship. They're gonna have more ships coming. That's a big turnaround and changing what people thought about them. Their public perception was bad, and now everybody wants to go and give it a shot. So that's a big move.
Yeah, no, it's huge. It's huge, and like the perception means so much in this industry. You have MSC, right? And MSC was one of those things too, where they had a perception around them, and ultimately they're breaking that. They're breaking it quick, and I think Margaritaville had some really bad news and things around them early on, but they could easily do the same thing with a brand new ship like this. That's all it takes is just hitting the news with a beautiful new ship and building trust and loyalty. I think that's all it really takes when it comes to flipping that script, just like MSC did with MSC Road America, MSC Seashore. Like, people are really starting to, be loyalists. Even in the agency world, we've got agents that are like, really defending MSC and what they're doing and the fact that they could be the next biggest thing. So super cool. We have a couple more comments coming in. We've got Wakeview. He said Carnival Elation sails out of Jacksonville. Thank you for checking on that one. We knew it was a smaller, kind of older ship. And then Jessica, thanks for writing in from Florida. Jessica, thank you again. Really appreciate you taking the time to join today. We have a couple cool topics for those. If you're joining in, let us know your next cruise date. Want to hear from you guys. That's why we're doing this. If not, we would just record and not come live. So write us in the chat. When's your next cruise? What ship you're going on? We want to hear from you. How many days until your next cruise? If you have to look it up, I don't know, Jeremy, how many days until our next cruise. I think we're right around 3 months. I would say around 90 days until our next cruise.
Can you see my little sign right there? I can't know if you can read that or not. That's got my next cruise. My next cruise is in 10 days. I go on the Forensic in 10 days.
There you go.
With my family. Which we recapped that one back in March or February, March, in that area. So we had obviously a great deal. wanted to push it in again. I need to get one more cruise in there to make sure I get to platinum before the reset on Carnival. So kind of slipped a little 5 day frenzy. But ours is 122 days until the XL.
Oh, I totally messed that up. So yeah, write us down below. We got 12 people on here right now. Let us know right now where you're tuning in from, how many days until your next cruise. We want to talk about it. Okay, so 2 things, Jeremy, that have been hitting Netflix that are big for the cruise industry. We already talked about Celebration Key, talked about the Carnival Loyalty Program. We can also go back to those topics if you're listening and you have a question about those as well as the Royal Beach Club. We can go back and talk about those 2 again. But Jeremy, 2 things that happened really recently in the cruise world. Number 1, well, actually both of them were Netflix series. So we're going to talk about that real quick. Number 1 was the Carnival Poop Cruise. Did you hear about this?
How could you not hear about it, right? It was everywhere. What's funny thing is, a long time ago, before I really got into cruising and cruised like once or twice, I met somebody who said, I told him I had to cruise, and my mom was on the poop cruise thing. I was like, what? I didn't know anything about that. But you hear about it constantly. But people, the anti-cruisers, bring that up. Such a weird, crazy circumstance that brought that whole thing about, right? I don't know if I could ever see that happening again the way the cruise industry is now. But man, that was crazy. I mean, talking about how bad that was, but I mean, it's kind of a one-off, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the one-off. I'll tell you my thoughts because I've watched both Netflix documentaries. My wife was really intrigued with this, so I watched that. I'm like, this is about to make me never want to cruise again, but it didn't. So I'm still. We actually booked another cruise, so it's all good. Didn't do that for me. I'm sure it did that for some people. Let's talk about the poop cruise real quick, and then we'll go to the other one. So. The poop cruise one, for those that haven't seen it yet, the engines cut out. They were on their way back from their port, and they lost both engines, and basically all the power went out on the entire ship. So they couldn't do anything. They couldn't flush the toilets. They couldn't really use any of the machinery on the cruise. Again, to your point, Jeremy, a lot of these new ships now have like redundancies built in, or like kind of like, hey, like this is a backup power source that they have that they can leverage. This hasn't happened in a very, very long time. So that's what basically happened. They lost power. They couldn't use the bathrooms. They couldn't cook any food on the ship. And so if you watch the documentary, that's basically the premise, was that these guys were stuck out there for 3 days in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, now Gulf of America, I guess. So they were stuck out there trying to get back home. And that's basically the whole story of it. And what they said was they were really happy how Carnival handled it on the ship. I think the hard part was that they were really in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, and there was no way for them to get back. I mean, they were at one point going to go back to Mexico and offload, but like to push them that far, they had drifted because they didn't have any engines. So they ended up just like and they went all the way, I think, to Alabama or something. They pushed them all the way back. Here's I guess, where I was like thinking, I was like, if this happened today, I feel like you have other options. One of the options would be like you cancel another cruise and you bring the empty ship. And what was interesting was they had another ship that came up next to this poop cruise and they dropped off supplies. But I was like, ultimately Carnival could have like canceled a cruise or two and brought an empty ship and said, hey, we're going to move people, or even like half of an empty ship, and we're going to move people off of this ship to the other one. I know logistically that's a nightmare, but it would have been a much better experience than having 3 to 4 days of that. So that's just a summary of my thoughts on it. I wish that like if I was on there, I would have been like, I expect them to come save us, not just like move us to land after 4 days very slowly. Cause they were like sleeping out on the pool deck under these tents and stuff. It was a nightmare. So that if you watch it, it's very entertaining, honestly. And it would never happen again today, but it is something that I feel like if you were on that ship, you probably would not be a cruising loyalist. I would say it was a tough situation. We had Jessica write in.
Jess said everyone went dead silent during the muster station announcement about sewage usage, probably still haunted by the Poop Cruise documentary and not looking forward to star in a sequel. Yeah, that's probably true, Jess, especially with it just coming out. And she also mentioned that their next cruise is the first week of August on the Carnival Glory. They just got off the Islander. Jess, reach out to us if you want to come back on. We loved having you, Ed and Haley, on last time. So if you want to go over any of these cruises, let us know.
And yeah, let us know in the chat what you thought of the Islander. I'm curious on your thoughts. You have, obviously younger kids. Want to hear what your thoughts are. So if you're still on, let us know what you think. And if not, we'll get you on either a future live or we will do another podcast. Okay, so that's the poop cruise one. Let's go talk about this. Have you heard the other one? Have you heard the other documentary?
I can't remember which one. Which one was it?
So this one was Amy. It's called Amy Bradley Missing. So this one is crazy, dude. This is more of like a murder mystery, unsolved murder mystery documentary. Michael, I don't think I've ever told you about this one.
You were telling me a little before we went live earlier, but yeah, I haven't seen either one of them yet.
Okay, so guys, here's the premise. If you're listening, I want to hear what your thoughts are too. So basically, this is 1998 on Rhapsody of the Seas, going from Puerto Rico. She's on the cruise with her family. She's like 23 years old. She just graduated college. She wasn't depressed or anything. I think she was gay. They called that out in the podcast, but her parents knew and all that stuff because this is a different time back then. This is like 20-something years ago. So a little bit different time, but her parents knew about her coming out and were supportive, and she had a couple girlfriends and all that. But she was going on this to celebrate her graduation, graduating college, and she just moved into a new place, and she was excited, and her family took them on, and they had won a free cruise. So they went on Rhapsody of the Seas, and it went from Puerto Rico to Curacao and St. Martin, St. Thomas, and all that. Now, what's crazy is she was on the cruise. The last time they saw her, she was in the cruise. I think they just got back done at Aruba, and we're heading to Curacao. And it was like in middle of the morning, so 3 a.m. The club shuts down. She goes back to the room. Her brother is on the balcony with her, and I guess they were kind of falling asleep. They had drinking a lot, and it was like 3, 4 in the morning after the club had shut down. And I guess he's like, I'm gonna go to sleep, and she was kind of sitting on the balcony, right? And what happened was, I guess the dad woke up around 5 o'clock, saw that she was still out there, went back to bed. They were all in the same room, like all 4 of them in the same room. And then the door, I guess at 6 o'clock, the guy woke up and the daughter wasn't there. Now they have back then in 1998, they didn't have cameras on the cruise ships like they have today. So they can see that she was at the club. There were cameras at the club, but they didn't have any. All they had on the doors was whether she entered the room. They weren't even sophisticated enough to know that the door opened to let somebody out. So they know that basically she was in the room. They don't have any ability to say what time she really left. So the speculation is, okay, let me go back and tell one more thing. After that, some people said that there was sightings of her walking with the bass player from one of the steel drum band on the pool deck. There was speculation that she was there's videos of her dancing with that guy at the club. And so they think that she went back, that she maybe got drugged or something, and then she went back and saw that guy. And people said that they saw her with this guy around 5 a.m. in the morning. 5 a.m. in the morning, they're already pulling into Curacao. And so at this point, the last time someone said they saw her, she was going up that glass elevator to where the club is, kind of at the top area of the ship. And then no one ever saw her again. So the speculation, there's 2 kind of options, right? Number one is that she jumped overboard or fell overboard. We know that she didn't fall overboard, so she probably would have had to jump, right? So that's option 1. We don't really know. I guess the people that are discrediting that is that she would have had to wash up on shore in Curacao because they were so close, they were only an hour away. At some point, her remains would have been found, Option 2, which is crazy, is that they think that she got smuggled off the ship. And either she didn't get smuggled off, she walked off and got basically abducted. So someone kind of lured her off to go without her family. And they think that maybe it was a drug related, she was trying to buy drugs and got basically scammed and brought into a prostitution ring situation. So that's option 1. Option 2 is that she was actually brought off and forced off. I'm finding it unlikely that she was forced off the ship. I think that the likely scenario is that she walked off the ship, was told that she was going to be able to buy drugs or buy something from a local in Curacao, and then got abducted and then is now part of this. Because people have actually said, since they've done all these Dr. Phil stuff, people have said that they've seen her and that she's got a very a tattoo that people have seen. And they're I've seen her on the beaches in Curacao. So all that to say, we don't know. Her family has been this is 20-something years. Obviously, it's 1998. So it's been 27 years. Her family is still very optimistic that she's out there and they're hopeful. but it's kind of hard to watch because you're watching this family that have been missing their child for 27 years, and they're like every day hopeful that she's still out there. So, I mean, that's kind of the general idea of this Amy is Missing documentary on Netflix. So those are the two documentaries that are stirring up the cruise world right now. And I would say that, you know, there's people on the documentary that are talking about whether cruising is safe and all of that. I personally never felt unsafe on a cruise, and maybe that's just different today than what it is in the past. And obviously there's bad people out there, so you need to be aware of your surroundings wherever you are, whether you're in Texas, New Orleans, Charlotte, like you need to be aware of your surroundings. But at the end of the day, I've never felt like not safe. And that's just my personal experience, but I'm also not a young female lady. So I know that happens, that people try to flirt and do all that stuff. So anyways, that's the summary. We've had a couple of comments. Jeremy, what are you going to say first? I'll let you speak.
I would say it brings up kind of a good point that you know, it can happen anywhere. You know, there's dangerous people everywhere looking to do awful things to people. You got to be smart. You got to be safe. You got to understand your surroundings. You don't go out alone, especially if you're a young lady. You know, there's unfortunately targets. It's just, I mean, it's an awful situation, but you got to really, really be smart and understand what's going on. And as an adult or as a parent or as a sibling, you got to really know and don't let them make those decisions, or as them, you got to make these good decisions, because everything's going to happen to you until it does, you know. And that's just, as a parent, you hear that stuff, makes your stomach hurt. It makes you not, you know, it's horrible to hear about. So you got to make sure you're aware of your surroundings, and you got to be safe. There's safety everywhere. Even driving down, stopping to get gas late at night, you never know what could happen. You know, it happens. So it's horrible to hear, but you got to be real. When you go in foreign countries a lot, you got to really be aware of around, and don't go anywhere alone and stuff like that.
Awesome. Jeremy, your camera is being a little weird, so we'll take you off. We'll let you figure out your video. I can hear you good, but your video is being a little funky. So might take you off for a second while you work on fixing your camera. We had a couple comments from Jessica on her cruise. Michael, you want to go through those?
Yep, she said the Islander was fantastic. Just to remember to set your expectations for the cruise category. And that they finally tried the steakhouse. It was totally worth it. And then we had Michael write in saying his next two cruises are the Carnival Celebration, August 24th, and a Havana balcony. His first Carnival cruise, and also booked the Sun Princess with a casino match 14-day med cruise and a Cabana mini suite in April 2026. Wow, a 2-week suite.
Dang, Michael, that
sounds amazing.
Awesome. So wait, so Carnival Celebration coming up in the Havana balcony. I feel like you did that. You did that well. Havana balcony sounds awesome. Sun Princess, the casino match is a great idea. 14-day med cruise, dude. That is insane. Hope you enjoy it. The Cabana mini suite also looks insane as well. So glad that you have a couple really cool cruises coming up over the next couple of years. Going back to Jessica's, let's see what she said there. Jessica said, Islander was fantastic. Yep. And then steakhouse on, I think that's the steakhouse on the Islander that she's referring to potentially. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's probably going to wrap up our time.
Yeah, it's been a fun little hour.
Yeah, we've had about 10 people on, and we'll do this more. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe and notify so that when we do go live, you know that we're here. And hopefully we can build up a little crew that enjoys hanging out with us. And let us know. Like, we might be doing this more during the week. Right now we've been recording on Saturday, so it's just the day that we're all ready together. So we could do Saturday earlier. We could do Saturday in the evening. But ultimately want to talk cruising more with you guys and go through what's coming up. If you have any questions about cruising, if there's any cruise news like this week, we had a lot of cruise news to talk about. We'll do more of this. Not sure if we'll commit to a weekly schedule yet. Working on that, but it's been really fun hanging out, and hopefully we get to enjoy talking cruises with you guys again in the future.
Yeah, and shout out to Jeremy again for coming on and chatting with us. It's always great having him on as well. And we'll let Keith have the last word here. Awesome live, guys. Thank you, Keith.